Hello. With technology's advancement, our smartphone is no longer just a communication device. It's become an indispensable assistant in many areas, and ACS is no exception. Supporting mobile identification of employees and guests in access control systems is a common requirement for many clients. In general, any readers with standard output interfaces can be connected to the Sigur controller, including those designed for this type of identification in the system. Accordingly, when using readers from third-party manufacturers, the issuance of identifiers is carried out according to the original instructions from the device developers. And this video tutorial is dedicated to showing you how to set up working with mobile identifiers in Sigur. To work with mobile identifiers in our system, you will need MR100 or MR100 multi-model readers, as well as the Sigur Access app installed on your smartphone. Depending on your needs, you can use two fundamentally different technologies. For example, in the case of iOS and Android smartphones, this can be implemented using Bluetooth Low Energy technology. For Android smartphones, ACE technology offers an alternative. It allows the smartphone to emulate a smart card, and with NFC, transmit the emulated card's identifier to the reader. That's why Bluetooth identification can work in so-called hands-free mode at distances of up to 10 meters with a clear line of sight to the reader, while the range of NFC identification is limited to 9 centimeters. All traffic between smartphone and reader is securely encrypted using AES algorithm. Currently, programming of the MR100 series readers is only done using the Sigur software tools. You can use any current version of our software, including the free one. You can download the installation packages from our official website. The process of setting up the reader and software to work with smartphones is carried out in several stages. The first stage is specifying the reader's configuration parameters in the client software. The second stage is entering the connection details for the outgoing and incoming mail servers. The third stage is programming the reader using a master card, a configuration file, or via the SSTP protocol. And the fourth stage is adding mobile identifiers to the software. There are two fundamentally different ways to work with mobile identifiers in Sigur. The first is default mode, where the reader will respond to any smartphone that has the Sigur Access app installed and running. And custom mode. In this mode, the reader will only respond to smartphones that have received an invitation email from the server. This is because, in custom mode, the smartphone additionally sends a special authorization key to the reader, which is not used in default mode and provides extra security for access to the site. Let's start by looking at how to set up operation in basic mode. In the client program, go to the File menu and select Settings, Contactless Authentication, and select the Mobile Identification option. Here you can also change the service password parameter. It is used to access the reader through the Sigur Settings mobile app. The default service password for the reader is set in Sigur. We strongly recommend not leaving this field set to the default value. Let's change the mobile identification MR parameter to the value used in default mode. Here you need to configure the following fields. The activation distance is the approximate range at which Bluetooth identification will occur. There are 4 options available: short, medium, long, and custom, where you need to specify the RSSI value. RSSI is the signal level received by the reader, measured in dBm. Successful identification will occur when this level is exceeded. You can determine the required signal level for identification using the Sigur Settings mobile app. Next, let's configure the activation policy. This is the rule under which identification will be performed. There are only 3 options available: when the app is on the screen, meaning the screen is unlocked and the app is running; when the screen is unlocked, that is, when the screen is unlocked and the app is running in the background; and always. In this setting, it means the app is running in the background, and identification occurs both when the screen is unlocked and when it is locked. For this example, let's choose the option when the app is on the screen. It's important to note that identification with the screen locked, while convenient, can lead to accidental opening of access points when passing by readers. This mode also lowers the overall security of the access control system, because if the smartphone is lost, an intruder won't have to unlock the screen by entering a PIN code or pattern, or scan a fingerprint, and so on. Because of this, be careful when configuring the policy and the activation distance. Next, you need to program the reader to work with a mobile identifier in basic mode. Currently, there are 4 ways to program Sigur readers. The first way is to use a master card, which can be created with a desktop reader after clicking the Issue Sigur MasterCard button. The second is to send a configuration file to the smartphone using an outgoing email from the Sigur server to the specified address. The third option is to save the configured settings to disk and transfer them to the smartphone by alternative means. And the fourth is to upload the card reading profile to the reader directly from the Sigur software. We have a separate video explaining how to do this. We'll use the third method. I've already saved and transferred the file to the smartphone. Now let's open the Sigur Settings app. Next, select the reader we're interested in from the list. In the reader settings, choose the option to update the reading configuration. Then select the configuration file saved on the device. The process of uploading the configuration to the reader will start. Once completed, a message confirming the successful upload will appear. Now the reader is ready to work with a smartphone as an identifier in basic mode. After programming the reader, you need to add the mobile identifier to the employee's profile card. For this, we'll need the Sigur app, available on Google Play and the App Store. Let's install it on the smartphone. Depending on the smartphone's operating system, the app's functionality differs slightly. Key differences. On Android smartphones, identification using the built-in NFC module is available, and if the system is using dark mode, the app's appearance will look a bit different. The Bluetooth identification feature is available for both Android and iOS smartphones. After launching the app, additional permissions will be requested, and you need to grant them. To use Bluetooth identification through the Access app, enable Bluetooth on your smartphone. For some Android smartphone models, you may also need to enable location services. To use HC identification through the Access app, turn on the NFC function. Please note that for successful NFC identification, the reader's configuration must have the option to use the card's UID as a pass identifier for other cards disabled. This function is configured in the client software when editing the reading configuration in the File menu, Settings, Contactless Authentication under the Other tab. Depending on the previously set identification policies, the smartphone will interact with the reader either always, only when the screen is locked, or only when the app is running on the active screen. In the basic operating mode of the readers, mobile identifiers can be added in two ways. Use. Capture codes from access point, or manually by copying the ID in the Sigur Access app. Find it by pressing the special button in the top right corner, selecting the About section. The ID is input in a pass field of the client program, shortened to week and bit length. Let's use the code capture function access point. In the client program, go to the Cardholders tab and select the employee. Then, using the corresponding button, activate the code capture function. Select the desired access point and click OK. Choose the action Add Pass to selected cardholders when reading the card to create a new pass. Then, hold your smartphone up to the reader. Now let's check if it works. Launch the Sigur Access app on your smartphone and hold it up to the reader. The reader successfully read the identifier, sent it to the controller, and access was granted. All events are displayed in real time on the monitoring tab, just as if we had used a card. It's important to note that if the user performs any unusual actions with the smartphone, such as a hard reset or reinstalling the app, it may be necessary to reissue the mobile identifier. There have also been cases where the mobile identifier changed after updating the Android operating system. Now let's look at configuring operation in user mode. In the client program, you should go to the File menu, then select Settings, and subsequently Contactless Authentication, and finally choose Mobile Identification. In the Mobile Identification parameter, select Use in user mode. Here, a new parameter called Key becomes available to us. It is used only in user mode, and in most cases, it will be enough to simply click Generate Key. This key should not be changed in the future. If it is changed, all employees will need to be issued smartphone identifiers again. Next, configure the familiar parameters for distance and rear activation policy, and transfer the configuration file to the device just like in the previous case. Now let's move on to the process of issuing mobile identifiers to employees. Adding smartphone identifiers is done by sending invitation email notifications from the Sigur server. These emails will contain a special link for the Sigur mobile app. When following this link, the Sigur app creates a reply email that must be sent to the ACS server. So, to add smartphones to Sigur, you first need to configure the SNTP server settings for sending invitation emails. We have a separate video on how to set up mail servers in Sigur. Next, go to the Cardholders tab and select the desired employee. On the General tab, click a key next to the pass field. Select the option Issue Mobile Identifier. In the field that appears, enter the recipient's email address or specify one of the available variables that contains the email address. Click OK and wait for the sending process to complete. Open the received email and follow the provided link. This will automatically launch the Sigur app. After following the link, the Sigur app will open and generate a reply email containing the identifier associated with the device. This email will be transferred to the device's default mail app, but it will not be set automatically. You need to send it manually. If you are unable to send the email from your smartphone, you can copy and send the contents of the email from any other device to the specified email address. It is not necessary to send it from the same address that received the invitation email. After sending the reply email, an additional identifier will automatically be added to the pass field for this employee in the client program. This will indicate that the identifier has been successfully linked. From this moment, the employee can use the Sigur Access app. A single smartphone can be registered on multiple Sigur servers. To do this, you will need to repeat the steps mentioned above at each site. And if you have a license for the Event Response software module, you can send invitation emails to a group of employees at once. To do this, go to the Client program. Navigate to the File section, then Settings, and then Cardholders. In the Issue Sigur Mobile Identifiers area, select the required employees. After selecting employees, click Issue. Invitation emails will be sent to selected employees. The system uses the email from employee profile cards for invitations. On the Cardholders tab under Notifications, the email notification type must be selected and configured. Sending a reply email is no different from the previous method. Let's test. Let's launch the Sigur Access app on the smartphone and bring it close to the reader. The reader read the identifier. Access granted. All events are displayed in real time on the Monitoring tab, just as if we had presented a card. So, we've covered the main options for configuring mobile identification in the Sigur software. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention.